Now, good day. This is Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. This guy talks about human emotion and thought and the secret of praying, but he's only getting part of the information out here, and he talks about the Thomas here, the Gospel of Thomas. But there's so much more to this. There's faith in this. There's faith in God. There's faith in action as well as thought, as well as emotion. There's faith in the power of righteousness and virtue and the divine nature. The divine nature is, in its more virtuous, most powerful, most faithful form, is uh, more powerful than this universal light or truth that he's talking about. It connects with the divine nature, and when it does, you can even stop the rotation of this earth. Now remember, you're getting these things from God's only begotten Son. You're getting it from the prophets. So there's much more to this than what this guy says. But what he says is important in its sphere and in its truth. But the fullness of this truth is only partially talked about in these things. So you've got to understand that this is only partially uh, the sphere of truth that he's talking about.
Of Thomas. This is verse 106, translated from the Nag Hammadi Library. And if you do not have a copy, it's in our books, and you can go to.
So this original Gospel of Thomas and its translation, it says some powerful things, but it is not the only source. When the two thought and emotion are one, and you have to be one not only with your thought and your emotion, but you have to be one with God. He talks about that, and this oneness with God denotes a humility, a faith, a virtue, a desire to be one. And when you do this, it is easier to tap into this infinite power, this infinite grace, this infinite ability to do and become and change things. Not only heal beings through the power of the priesthood, that's another part. This priesthood is connected with this virtue, with this truth, with this righteousness. And the modern scriptures clearly state this. So again, he only has one area of this, only one area. Say this mountain, move away, and the mountain will move away. Now, again, this has to be according to God's will. You're not going to be able to do wickedness with this. This holiness, this righteousness, this grace, this power, this priesthood, uh, it's all connected. And you're not going to be able to do wickedness with this. You're not going to be able to do evil. This is a righteous power. This is a righteous faith. And the more righteous you are, the more holy and simple and pure you are, the more powerful this is. And it can be done in a blink of an eye. It can be done by a request, and it can be done verbally. It can be done verbally, and it can be done non-verbally. You have to get a fuller picture than what this guy is producing. When you marry your thought with your emotion into a single potent force, that is when you have the power to speak to the world. Now, you not have the power to speak to the world or in the universe, but you have the power to do what God would have us do. That's where revelation comes in. That's where inspiration, that's where priesthood comes in. That's where faith comes in. That's where these divine nature comes in. This is all connected. It's not separate. We chop it up and we make it separate, but it's not separate. So we'll make this thought and emotion one. This gets into a lot of the law of attraction, but the law of attraction is very, very limited. Very limited. And of course, when he talks about this house, this is the temple of God, this is our body, this is our being. We go in here, it's more than just asking. It's the way we ask. That part of this is true.
There is a passage. How many have heard, ask and ye shall receive? Have you heard that?
So, I mean, talked about that, but again, now, this is, part of this is true and part of this is not true. It's not done in the voice and the heart and the desire and the mind, but it can be done with the heart, the desire, and the mind by thought, mere thought. But it also can be done in the voice. So don't get tripped up on this guy's partial understanding. It'll do you no good. There's so much more to these things.
Ask without hidden motive and be.
There's so much more to this. As we get closer and closer to God and one with God, we become powerful like God is. So just becoming one with God, this divine nature, as we become closer and closer to God, it makes us one with God, makes us equal with God. So there's much more to this than what he says. He's only tapping into a very small area of this, and he's focusing too much in just this one area. And this can be seen in modern scriptures, modern prophets, with Jesus Christ, with other angels and divine beings. That this is true. So you got to look at a fuller picture to tap into these fuller powers. And I say these things in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.